Chapter 55, Rocket Man.
Chandler Fowler will never forget the disgusting abuse he has endured his entire childhood at the hands of his abusive father, Greg. Divulging his innermost secrets at the bonfire has brought freedom for young Chandler. He is ready to murder, with the worst intentions imaginable. Out of respect to his deceased Grandma Fowler, whom he called Mammy Yammy, Chandler has painted himself in traditional red and black Shawnee war paint. Red to symbolize war and strength, and black to symbolize power and victory. He has painted a lightning bolt on his chest, believing the symbol will give him the power in his spirit that he needs to vanquish his wretched enemy. Most kids have games and toys to keep themselves occupied, but Chandler had nothing like that. Deer hunting and Mammy Yammy's yearly visits from East Bernstadt, Kentucky, were the only thing Chandler had to look forward to growing up. Chandler loved his Mammy Yammy's butter-baked cinnamon yams, and she delighted in baking them for her favorite grandson almost as much as he enjoyed devouring them. They would eat pans and pans of her magical yams while she was visiting. Chandler was always a great listener when Mammy Yammy would talk about the Native American myths and legends. Well, at least until he dozed off from all the yams he ate. Greg, still unconscious from Joe's sleep aids, is sat in his favorite unreclined, worn leather recliner. The broken low back is not fit for charity, but is still too good for this evil, abusive demon. From his neck to the bottom of his waist, Greg is wrapped in a highly conductive 20-gauge copper wire sweater, binding his naked body to the chair. Chandler has created a copper headdress with 3 copper feathers and has secured it tightly around Greg's head. Hanging from the ceiling, roughly 6 inches behind the copper feathers, is the Bug Annihilator 9000, the most powerful bug zapper sold west of the Rocky Mountains. Chandler borrowed it from the back porch and has it all plugged in and ready to zap the stink bug that sits before it. Chandler refers to the bug zapper as his fry daddy. Greg's situation only gets more dire. Chandler has permanently superglued an enormous and girthy double-ended dildo inside Greg's mouth. He has expertly whittled out the center of the double-sided marital aid and equipped it with a quarter stick of dynamite and a 12-inch wick that hangs from its soft silicone pee-hole. Chandler has guaranteed that this rubber schlong will give Greg the best bang of his life. Chandler's plan also includes the hottest and most outrageous enema ever constructed. Running deep inside Greggy's oil well is a 4-foot-long, 1-inch diameter rubber tube, ribbed for long-lasting staying power. So long story short, there's a 4-foot-long tube up Greg's ass, and it ain't coming out. Greg is finally waking from his drug-induced sweet dream and is about to enter his awakened nightmare. Chandler pours a half can of beer on Greg's head. Being the professional alcoholic he is, the aroma of the beer lifts Greg's spirits. Chandler wants to wake Greg up fully, so he decides to energize him by giving the free-floating bug zapper a light bump with a broomstick. The apparatus swings through the air, scraping the copper feathers of Greg's headband, sending painful bolts of electricity across the copper sweater and into his body. Greg tries to scream, but obviously he's cock-blocked.
Hey, Rocket Man! You've been sitting in that chair like that for hours.
Greg, though groggy, tries to figure out if Chandler just called him Rocket Man or if he's dreaming. Chandler wrote a script and included all the things he has ever wanted to say to his abusive dad. He considers himself a master at creating clever contraptions. However, he's not the most articulate, so he spent hours and hours rehearsing it in front of the bathroom mirror. Chandler grabs his notebook and sets his eyes to his poorly written script.
What? Did you backtalk me, boy?
His nerves quickly take control. The pages shake from his rocky grip as he fumbles through, looking for his next line.
Ah!
Frustrated, Chandler grinds his teeth, bends his body, and violently rips the script pages from the notebook. Chandler pours the other half of the beer onto the page, wadding it into a large spitball. He fires the soaked paper and hits Greg square in the chest.
There, Rocket Man!
Greg flinches. He tried protecting himself with his knees, but no dice. His smelly pigs have been drenched in superglue and stuck permanently to the hardwood floor. Chandler turns from Greg to gain composure. He lifts a coach's whistle, blowing it deafeningly into Greg's face. He screams and mocks in his best pissed-off coach voice.
What? Did you backtalk me, boy? You talking back to me, boy? I'm gonna wash your mouth out with a dildo and dynamite!
He slaps Greg in the face, reminding him of the slap he received from his coach.
Answer me, Rocket Man! Oh, you can't. You got too much dick in your mouth.
Greg is dumbfounded. He had no idea Chandler had this much anger inside.
Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. Abraham Washington learned it to me in the schoolroom. He also chopped down the gum tree. He invented rubber teeth.
Chandler might not be the sharpest hatchet ever ground. After all, Greg was always too stoned to care about Chandler's education. He didn't even start first grade until he was 9.
How does my doggy taste? Those grits floating around in the back of your throat, some of Crackpot's finest feces.
Chandler's dog hears his name and comes running.
Ain't it, Crackpot? I rolled that pecker in your mouth around in Crackpot's sweltering shit mighty good. Don't want you to go hungry, Chief.
Greg throws up in his mouth.
I remember you once telling me to eat shit and die. I'm the literal one around here. Bank's open, Rocket Man. You can deposit them words. You will eat shit and die. I've never eaten a turd before. Guess you missed that one, Chief sitting bully shit. I heard dog poo probably makes you thirsty, though. I also heard lemon water will wash it right on down.
Chandler pisses a stream straight into Greg's face. Greg shakes his head, dodging Chandler's relief. Unfortunately for Chandler, he didn't think this one through. Greg's copper feathers kissed Fry Daddy and set off a chain reaction, sending Chandler a nasty jolt to his privates, literally knocking the piss out of him. He slowly lifts himself from the floor and cautiously pokes Fry Daddy. Chandler wants to show off his war paint. He lifts his right leg high into the air, then slowly lowers it. He repeats the motion with his left leg. He tilts his head back and spreads his arms wide open, then freezes and stares at the ceiling. He drops his head forward and leads into a full-blown Shawnee war dance. Chandler's body rocks back and forth. He lifts his knees high into his chest and skips around Greg, beating his fingers and palms to his open mouth. Chandler comes to an abrupt halt. He lights a cigarette and blows smoke rings at the ceiling. He takes another drag and whips his head dramatically at Greg. Greg stares in disbelief that his son smokes. He and Chandler's mother despise smoking ever since Greg quit as a young man, and Chandler is well aware of this. He blows the smoke directly into his dad's face.
Smoke signals, Chief. Chief. More like Pocahontas. I'm a freaking kicker, Rocket Man. Not like a few short breaths will keep the ball out of the upright. That's a proven fact. That has been proven.
Greg continues staring at Chandler, disturbed by how unintelligent he really is. Chandler grabs the fuse hanging from the fake penis and connects it to his cigarette. The fuse ignites. Greg whips his head around in panic as he tries to extinguish the sparking fuse. The flying sparks remind Chandler how he loved swirling sparklers with Mammy Yammy when he was a kid. Greg's panic-stricken rampage continues as he tries to escape his imminent demise. The fuse stops fizzing. Greg can't believe he still has a head attached to his shoulders.
Oops! Looks like someone forgot to pack the stick. Unholy smoke, Rocket Man. I sure wish you saw the look on your dildo face. You looked like a horny rhino was having his way with your nasty ass.
Chandler takes another drag from his cigarette and blows the smoke into Greg's frightened face. He puts the cigarette out on the top of Greg's foot.
I will show you the look on your face as soon as I knock all these pesky cockroaches from the mirror. I once watched your stoned ass light a cockroach instead of your dope roach. Its little feet tickled your ugly lips, or you'd never know the diff. I'll show you the ignorant bully you are.
Chandler shoves a hand mirror in Greg's face.
I want you to see what a low-life pedophile looks like.
Greg is not about to allow himself even a tiny glimpse of his own reflection. He closes his eyes and turns his head.
Look at your dreadful self, Rocket Man. Look at you. You can't even look at the man you are in your own home.
Greg weeps. For the first time in his life, Greg begins to feel shame for the things he has done.
Mammy Yammy told me some filth you can't even wash off with lying soap. And Jesus knows a man named Karma. He's listed in the Webster. Karma. K-A-R-M-A. It's your lucky day, Rocket Man, 'cause I'm gonna introduce him to you for free.
Chandler plugs in Greg's powerful industrial shop vac and sings an old Christian hymn that Mammy Yammy used to sing when she visited.
Was blind, but now I see. Was blind, but now I see.
Chandler flips the switch. The vacuum roars to life, accompanying his singing with its obnoxious noise.
Could see, but now you're blind. Could see, but now you're blind. This is gonna suck.
Chandler plunges the hard-sucking vac quickly to Greg's eyeball. The vacuum squeals from the suction. Greg cannot shake the one-armed octopus. Chandler flips the switch, listening to the noise dissipate as the plastic hose falls to the floor, leaving Greg's eye pulled from its socket.
Damn, Rocket Man! I can see plumb inside your head. You're not the man I thought you were at all.
Chandler remembers one of Mammy Yammy's old Southern phrases. If you had a brain, it would rattle. So he moves Greg's head from side to side, checking to see if he hears a rattle.
Chief, you're long overdue for a vacation. What do you say you take a trip? To Mars. I think it's been a long, long time. Mars ain't no place to raise a kid, so I'll just stay home. It's cold as hell, which in fact is where you're going. Maybe not. Hell's way too good for you.
Chandler fills the plastic hose that he inserted into Greg's rectum with lighter fluid. He connects the shop vac hose to the blower side of the vacuum and makes a seal between the two hoses with his hand. Chandler hits the switch, and bingo! Rocket Man's innards become full of the cheap rocket fuel.
Change of plans, Rocket Man. Mammy Yammy told me if I don't tell Jesus I'm sorry for all the bad things I've done, then I will burn in hell forever. Obviously, you didn't listen to your mother, Chief. Being the nice guy you made me and all, I'll give you a minute to tell Jesus all the bad things you've done.
Greg's head falls forward.
Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. Time's run out. Not even Jesus has enough time to hear your wrongdoings, and he's gonna live forever.
Greg raises his head, one eye in and one eye out.
If you see Jesus, tell him I appreciate his invention of fire. Oh yeah, tell Mammy Yammy I'll see her someday. I don't understand all the science, but you're full of fuel and ready for blast-off. Now you know why I named you Rocket Man. Oh hell, I almost forgot. It's lonely out in space. Stay right here. I got something I want you to see.
Chandler drags his mother from the back room by her feet, leaving a trail of blood from her head, probably because of the arrow sticking through it. Greg is devastated. He finally accepts that there is no escape. Chandler smiles and tosses his dead mother onto Greg's lap.
Kinlan! Don't want you two child molesters catching cold. The grave will handle that.
Chandler ignites the hose protruding from Greg's insides and delights in hearing the flames rush through the tube. Greg burns from the inside out. Chandler soaks his dead mother and the floor under the chair with the remaining lighter fluid. He lights a smoke, takes a puff, flips the burning stick to the floor, and walks out the door with Crackpot. The flames climb Greg's old worn recliner, slowly vanquishing Chandler's wretched enemies.